Now I know the Toyota Tacoma reigns supreme in the US midsize truck market. It's the vehicle of choice for overland enthusiasts. You go to any overland show or event and the Tacoma dominates both the vendor and parking area. But there's another vehicle that's been fiercely competing on the international market. It's Outback-inspired but American-made, and I'm talking about the Ford Ranger. And while in 2011 the Ford Ranger was discontinued in the United States, it was slowly evolving behind the scenes, becoming the #1 selling ute in places like Australia. And so in 2019, when it came time for me to purchase a new midsize pickup truck, I immediately thought of the Ford Ranger. And 6 years and 73,000 miles later, if given the choice today, I would make the same one. So stick around to learn why I purchased the Ford Ranger in 2019 and why I still think it's the best midsize pickup truck in 2025. So in 2019, when Ford announced the return of the Ford Ranger to the US after nearly 8 years of being discontinued, I was intrigued. Because this wasn't just any untested comeback. The Ranger we got kept its American roots but was Outback-inspired, built on the globally tested T6 platform. And during its hiatus, Ford Australia had been perfecting the Ranger through multiple PX generations, competing head-to-head with the Toyota Hilux, Isuzu D-Max, and Mitsubishi Triton. And it became a consistent bestseller in markets like Australia and South Africa, where the Ranger proved it could venture further, tackle tough tracks, and withstand harsh conditions. And it was in these markets where the Ranger Raptor was born and where the Ranger Super Duty is now emerging. And so in my mind, if a truck can survive the corrugations of the Australian outback and the wild backcountry of African safari, it can survive anywhere. And knowing that gave me the confidence and motivation in 2019 to seriously look at the Ford Ranger. And with all that in mind, I ended up pulling the trigger on a 2019 Ford Ranger XLT for $46,000 out the door. Now this wasn't any old bare stock Ranger truck. It came with a 3.5-inch FabTech lift, 33.5-inch tires, 20-inch XD wheels. It had a full bed rhino liner, catskin leather seats, and interior LED lighting. I sold the wheels and tires immediately so I could start the build from scratch. And with that out of the way, let's get into the details why I chose the Ranger over the Tacoma, Gladiator, Colorado ZR2, and Nissan Frontier, and why I'd make the same exact choice today in 2025 if I had to do it all over again.
Tacoma TRD Pro and Gladiator Rubicon were both over $51,000 before any modifications. And with dealer markups at the time, they only got pricier. The ZR2 was cheaper at $42,000, but its lower payload meant I'd be overloaded once I added armor and a camper. The Frontier was the budget pick, but with its aging platform and 5-speed automatic, it wasn't the right fit for my daily driving needs or long-haul plans. The Ranger gave me the best value, more capability, more payload, and a better platform to build on. The 2.3-liter EcoBoost makes 270 horsepower and a class-leading 310 pound-feet of torque, more than the Tacoma's V6 and Gladiator's 3.6 Pentastar. And paired with the 10-speed automatic, it's always in the right gear. I haven't tuned the Ranger, and besides upgraded hoses from Morimoto, the engine is stock and has been rock solid. This was the real deciding factor for me. The Ranger gives me about 1,506 pounds of payload and 7,500 pounds of towing capacity, right at the top of the midsize class in 2019. That margin is what lets me run my ARB front and rear bumpers, side rails, a snorkel, and a 4-wheel camper Project M, all while staying under the gross vehicle weight rating, even when including a full tank of gas, me, my dog, and my gear. I travel with a backpacker mindset. No fixed drawer system, no fridge. Just a few portable front runner boxes, rigid cases, water, and my duffel bag. When the Gladiator launched, it took the crown for max payload and towing, but only on certain trims like the Sport Max Tow. The Rubicon payload sits closer to 1,200 pounds, which gets tight fast once you add bumpers and recovery gear. The Tacoma TRD Pro carries about the same, and the ZR2 gives you around 1,350 pounds, which disappears quickly once you armor up. The Frontier has the lowest numbers in the group and would have been nearly 50% over payload with my current setup. Seeing these numbers made me wonder how many people actually take the time to calculate this. Leave a comment below if payload is a major consideration for you. Now, when I ran the ARE CX Revo Topper, I averaged about 18.5 miles per gallon. With the Project M camper, I currently get about 16.4 miles per gallon. My biggest gripe isn't the mileage, it's the tank size. With the smallest fuel tank in the class, I feel like I live at the gas station. I'd love to add a long-range tank, but it'll mean more weight on the vehicle. So I'll take the extra fuel whenever I need it. Now to me, the ZR2 and Rubicon are hard to beat in pure off-road spec, with factory front and rear lockers. And the TRD Pros, well, they're known for being tough off-roaders. But the Ranger holds its own with a rear locker. And knowing that this platform was tested and proven in Australia and South Africa before coming to the US, it gave me confidence it could handle snow, sand, mud, and anything else I throw at it. I've been very pleased with the Ranger's off-road capability. And 6 years later and 73,000 miles in, the Ranger is still living up to my expectations. The 4-wheel camper Project M turned the Ranger into a go-anywhere, live-anywhere platform, and now that the build is dialed in, I don't intend to ever sell it. For me, it's a long-term adventure rig, simple, dependable, and capable enough to take me anywhere I want to go in the backcountry. No truck is perfect, and the Ranger isn't immune to issues. But overall, it's been a dependable workhorse for me. The biggest hiccup I've had was a rear differential repair and bearing replacement at around 60,000 miles, which was completely covered under my 72,000 mile warranty. The 10-speed transmission is known to fail, but this can be hit or miss. I've read some guys on the Ranger forum get hit with tranny issues at 30,000 miles, while others have gone over 200,000 miles with no issues at all. And this brings me to another point I forgot to mention earlier. One of the other big reasons I went with Ford was their service support. Ford has around 2,800 dealerships across the US, nearly the same footprint as Chevrolet, with Jeep, Toyota, and Nissan having fewer dealerships around the US. That means no matter where I am, there's almost always a Ford dealer within reach for warranty work, parts, or emergency service. And it's with that combination of a proven platform, a massive service network, and extended warranty coverage, which gives me the confidence to keep pushing further off-grid.
And in 2025, the Ranger still remains a top contender. Its new 2.7-liter V6 throws out 400 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque, a major upgrade from the 2.3-liter EcoBoost. And while the payload climbs to a class-leading 1,788 pounds, the towing remains at 7,500 pounds. And across the segment, horsepower and torque have improved overall, with payload and towing increasing for some and being reduced for others. But the one pain point that has remained consistent across the entire segment has been price. And although the Ranger has also seen a price increase, it still remains the best cost to capability pickup truck you can buy in 2025. And with the exception of the Ford Ranger Raptor, which is in its own category, you're giving up utility for high-speed, Baja-style off-road performance, as well as giving up about 300 pounds of payload and 2,000 pounds of towing, which doesn't make the Ranger Raptor an ideal platform for overlanding. But no matter how you slice it, we're living in a sort of golden era of overlanding for midsize pickup trucks. And with the Ineos Grenadier Quartermaster and the potential for the Ford Ranger Super Duty to come onto the market in the US, I couldn't be more excited for the future. Because the thought of the Ranger Super Duty coming to the US with a higher payload and better towing, it just makes all the more sense for that to become the default overland rig. It keeps you nimble on the trails, agile with your build, and makes drive-thrus more accessible. And while I know there are a ton of other options on the market today, and I certainly didn't cover all of the models or trims, to me, the Ranger FX4 remains the best value rig you can buy today in the midsize truck market. And being that I'm an ARB fanboy, I know the gear will always look good on the Ranger. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the content, and shout out to all of my Tacoma, Gladiator, Frontier, and ZR2 enthusiasts out there. It's always great to see a diversity of rigs on the trail. Whether you're a seasoned overlander or just getting started on your rig, I hope the information provided in this video was valuable. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And so until next time, I hope to see you out on the trails.